King Arthur, Legend of the Sword is a fantasy adventure epic directed by Guy Ritchie, starring Charlie Hunnam as King Arthur. Is Charlie Hunnam how you say his name? Probably not. He's the guy from Pacific Rim. Now, King Arthur was a movie that I was definitely intrigued in going into it. I mean, I love medieval times. I love these sort of adventure epics, you know, fulfilling your destiny kind of movies. And yeah, movie's been out for a little while now, so time for me to finally talk about it. So yeah, you all know the story of King Arthur. This is something that has been told in books, movies, everything for a very long time now. But right out the gate, I will say, I love how the movie starts telling this version of the story. Because right out the gate, we see that Camelot is under a full-on war between mages, these, you know, magical beings, and humans. And what's really cool about this war is just seeing what the world of Camelot is. Just seeing the battles that are taking place, seeing the magic that exists in this kingdom. I mean, there are elephants that are as big as these fucking castles. It's pretty insane to see. Eventually, Arthur's father, who is the current king of Camelot, he eventually is able to defeat the mages, but he has something else he has to deal with, and that is his brother, played by Jude Law. Jude Law wants to seize Camelot for what it is, but he also wants the power of magic so he can basically be a ruler of all men. And what I also love seeing is in this beginning segment, you really do see just how far Jude Law is willing to go to get what he wants. And they're just like, if you sacrifice a loved one, we'll give you the power you need to defeat your brother. And the price he has to pay is killing his very loving and very supportive wife, sacrificing her so he can get that power, and he does in fact go along with it. And these witches, they acquiesced his request by summoning this demon king to kill Arthur's father and his mother, so eventually Arthur is the only survivor of this kin. But before this demon king can kill Arthur, Arthur's father is able to send him away on this boat, protect him from this demon king, so now there is still hope for the future. And now the movie flashes forward to Arthur's adulthood. You know, he has his group of friends, he lives in the street, and I really love how Charlie Hunnam portrays him. He's really snarky, he doesn't give a fuck, doesn't take shit from anyone. It's great to see that because you need that in a leader of men. But what I also really like seeing here, and even throughout the movie, is just how Guy Ritchie tells this story, because it's how he does it in a few of his movies. So you hear someone monologuing, and it just goes back to each of the events, to how the story happened, that eventually just leads back to this point. I really like seeing that in Sherlock Holmes, which was directed by Guy Ritchie, and I like seeing it here too. Jude Law, however, knows that Arthur is probably still out there and still alive, because Excalibur, you know, the magic sword, it won't answer to him, and until it answers to him, he doesn't have the power that he desires. So what Jude Law is having his men do is go out, retrieve all the men that are Arthur's age, have them try to pull the sword from the stone to discover, you know, if the heir still in fact exists. So, you know, all these guys are trying to pull the sword from the stone, they can't do it, but of course, when Arthur tries it, he does in fact pull the sword from the stone, but he's just so overwhelmed from the power that he just passes out from it. Really just have me wonder why Jude Law just didn't have his men just kill him right there as he was passed out. I mean, right then the sword would have answered to him. I mean, I don't know. Oh wait, that didn't happen because then we wouldn't have a movie. There you go. But eventually I do see why Jude Law wanted to keep Arthur alive for the moment, and it's right here we really see just how well of a job Jude Law does as playing such a great antagonist in this movie. Just as he's preparing to publicly execute Arthur, he gives this great monologue, how he says something like, you know, the most intoxicating feeling is knowing the men in this kingdom fear you. It's just a moment in the movie that had me saying like, ooh, it's heavy shit. But before he can kill Arthur, Arthur is saved by this mage that wants to help him and his group of friends, so they're all able to escape from Jude Law. So now Arthur, his friends, this mage, they all meet up in complete solitude away from Camelot because they know Jude Law and his men, they're still hunting for Arthur. Arthur, however, was able to escape with the sword, and now it's about him trying to learn to control its powers, because at this point he's now realized that he is the true king of Camelot. I will say, it's throughout this entire, I want to say second third of the movie where I really did start to notice the flaws in it, because throughout this entire second third you see Arthur, you know, taken to this, you know, really deserted like shit island where it's hell to try to learn to control, to use the sword. You know, you see him, you know, bonding with his friend, you know, making new allies. You go back to the Camelot Kingdom where Jude Law is frustrated over trying to find Arthur, having his men going out to find Arthur, having a few battles here and there between Arthur and his group and Jude Law's men. It's just so much that happens at once. It really felt kind of cluttered. And you can't help but wonder, like, maybe this movie was meant to be, you know, 3 hours long, just so everything could have felt a little more spaced out. You know, there was more of a purpose for everything. You could get behind the characters a little bit more. That's just the way I thought of it anyway, because when a movie's too short and you're trying to have a lot go onto it, eventually if you just, you know, try to mesh it all together, it's not going to be the easiest thing to follow, and the movie's going to lose you a few times. I will say, one of the things that I did like seeing throughout this portion of the movie is just seeing Arthur trying to learn how to use a sword, because you really just see how overwhelming a weapon this thing is. And it's growing frustration with Arthur. I mean, he wants to be able to master it, because there are more than a few occasions when if he was able to use a sword, he could have helped his friends, could have helped someone that needed help. And eventually Arthur just completely loses his frustration, just takes a sword, just throws it into a lake. He's like, I'm done. I can't do this. This isn't my destiny. I'm not meant to be king. But then this magical being of this lake like shows Arthur just exactly what's gonna happen if he does not accept this responsibility, and it shows that Jude Law is just gonna burn Camelot to the ground. It's basically just gonna turn to hell on earth. And right there, Arthur kind of really sees that, you know, fate's not gonna call upon me when I want it to. Now is apparently my time. I need to embrace it. This is my destiny. Let me get the sword. Let's go do this. I just love seeing those moments with characters like, alright, you know what? It's put up or shut up time. I gotta go do this. And so now we're in the finale of the movie. Arthur and his men have gone storming back into the castle. It's time to take down Jude Law once and for all. Problem is, Jude Law's got a motherfucking army backing him. But it's okay, because Arthur and his men, they've got a mage on their side, and she does this awesomely. She summons literally a giant fucking snake to literally take out like half of Jude Law's army with. It's like, holy shit, no wonder the humans wanted these mages gone. These things would have made them their bitches. But again, it's here you really see the corruption in Jude Law, just how far he's willing to go for the power that he wants. Because these sea witches have told him, like, you know, sacrifice one more loved one and we will make you the Demon King. You will have the power yourself to defeat your nephew. So what does he do? He kills his own daughter, sacrifices her to these witches, transforms himself into the Demon King. Watch, it's just like, yeah, you fucking went and you did that. You killed your wife, killed your daughter, just you're a piece of shit. Just, ugh. So now we get to finally see the Demon King and Arthur just throw down with each other. Arthur finally knows how to control the power of the sword. Unfortunately, Arthur is just getting beat down so hard by this Demon King because of his power. It's too much for him. Until he sees a flashback of what his father did to protect him. His father literally turned his body to stone to protect Arthur from the Demon King so Arthur could get away, because his father knew that Arthur would eventually become Camelot's only chance. So finally Arthur's able to just take the sword, impale Demon King Jude Law with it. He's finally dead. Arthur's now the rightful king. So with that, Camelot is all well and good. King Arthur now rules it. He and his men are now building the round table, and King Arthur is also able to make amends with these Vikings that he had quarrels with in the very beginning of this movie, so now they have new allies. And yeah, that's pretty much where the movie ends. So all in all, I will definitely say King Arthur Legend of the Sword, it's an enjoyable movie. The overall cast in this movie did a good job. I liked Charlie Hunnam as King Arthur. I really loved Jude Law as the antagonist of this movie. He was great. I love seeing the magic in this movie. I love how the movie incorporates that into the action and the fighting that goes along with it. It makes it more intense, makes it more fun to watch. It had good writing. I love seeing the story, even though we see it a million times, about, you know, stepping up, facing your destiny, doing what's right, being the best you that you can be. But like I said, the second third of this movie, it's very cluttered. The story's not told the best way. You're not able to really get behind as many of the characters as you were hoping you would. Like I said, this movie was longer and everything felt more spaced out. It would feel more well balanced, better told, and less clusterfucky. But in the end, although this isn't the best King Arthur movie that could have ever been made, it's a movie that I did enjoy. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.